All right. Welcome to the first episode of the Amateur Hour podcast, where we live up to our namesake. There's an example right off the bat. We recorded 2 other episodes. The first one I think got lost, if I remember. I don't know if that's what happened. The first one got lost. Second one, everyone just wants to act like that doesn't exist, so I'll go along with that. I thought it was decent, but anyway, here we are, our first legitimate one that we'll stand by when it's published, whether or not it's garbage. Anyway, my name is Victor, and I'll just let these guys introduce themselves as we go down the line.
So my name is Brian.
Hey, I'm Fern.
And I'm David.
All right, those are the guys. That's it.
The guys?
We're the amateurs,
We're the
and we're
boys.
going to talk about whatever we want for the next hour. And I think we all agreed here that when starting this podcast, obviously you got to speak about what you care about the most. Otherwise, why are you doing a podcast in the first place? And that would be with music. And when starting a music podcast, your approach to it has to be very concrete, but you do have to make a decision if you're going to make the decision to be as objective as possible, or ignoring that and just strictly being subjective. But then that brings up the question, can you be objective when talking about music?
In music. I don't know, Fern, what do you think?
No.
You don't think you can be objective?
No, because everything's opinion based.
I feel like you can do both at the same time. Like, why would there be like majors and like jobs committed to music, trying to make like there's a study to it. There has to be something like right and wrong in that, right?
Yeah, I mean, because
I think like where subjectively it was like if you like the music.
Where when you acknowledge music as an art form, you have to acknowledge that all art is subjective. I don't think anyone's disputing that. It's just when talking about it, and that obviously stands into like, that journalistic approach where it's like you're criticizing music or you're reviewing music or doing stuff like that. If you're doing that, you have to try to be objective to some degree, I would imagine. You know what I'm saying? It's like, obviously we all have music taste. Everybody has their own music taste. But I think that if you study music enough and you take the time to recognize and analyze specific things within music, you can say whether or not this piece of music is good or this one is bad or whatever. You know what I mean? I think if you just accepted the fact that all music is subjective, there wouldn't be any kind of music journalism. I feel like if you think that it's strictly objective, we wouldn't have, strictly subjective, we wouldn't be able to do a podcast like this to a degree.
So it's like what I was saying, like both. Like you have to say
There
it's
has
one
to
or
be
the other,
both.
but
To an extent, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it is a weird line to cross, or to walk, really, because you want to be objective as far as like knowing your shit. You don't want to sound like just a random guy deciding to talk about music, even though it's pretty much what we four are. I mean, it's not like we have any formal training and stuff, but we are, for the most part, musicians. And we
music lovers. Like we just love, yeah.
And exactly, you've dedicated so much of your life to music, so that alone, I think, gives you some kind of credibility to having an objective, at least to having an objective perception to certain things.
But isn't everyone like you can say that about everyone, right?
You would think. I didn't realize it until actually this past year that, like, man, some people just don't care about you. The thing is,
yup.
Yeah.
Some people just really don't care about music like that.
And that sounds so shocking because when you think about our circle, everyone does. So It doesn't seem that way, but that's just our reality. But the reality is some people really just have music literally just for the background or shit like that.
I feel like
it's crazy.
I feel like people, like everyone loves music. I don't think you can talk to someone and say like, I don't like music. Like that's bullshit. Like you do, but the thing is they do like music, but the thing is they don't like it enough to go ahead and like seek like different types of like
the people who play the
genres
same songs
and like others, because they're given, like we say, like on the radio, like they're giving it music on a silver platter. Like this is what you can listen to. This is our options, and like they're not going out and venturing in different types of music that could be similar to that. But someone who's trying to get their name to be like, oh, I'm a person trying to be like Shawn Mendes.
Yeah, right.
And like let's say that is your type of music that you like to listen to, but you don't listen to those people because you don't care enough about music or about that genre for you to go out and look for it.
Yeah, it's just it's weird. Like when you think about it like that, you have to realize that things like things that you care about, and in this case, music, it takes effort to love it. You know what I mean? And if it takes effort you have to discover artists. You have to discover you have to find out what is groundbreaking. You have to go and find out an artist's discography. Sometimes just a little bit of bio about the band, or whatever, or whoever the artist may be, but that does take effort. And I feel like, yeah, we may do it. We may be the people who are willing to do stuff like that. But music on a grander scale, or just in the idea of life and people like your families and stuff, they don't give a shit about music.
It just plays on the radio.
My dad does.
Your dad gives a shit about music like that?
Not music that we listen to, but his own, yeah.
No, but if he's passionate about it, but I'm sure he exactly has to take it upon himself to.
Yeah, actually, he's been discovering new music.
What does he listen to?
It's just a bunch of like cumbias,
corridos
and stuff like
that genre. He knows, I bet, a lot.
Oh yeah,
right?
Within that
That's
genre,
good
he knows a lot
stuff.
So
about.
he's
awesome.
diving deep into what he likes.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like
no one dives in deep outside their bubble. Like it's about dipping into more bubbles, though. You know what I'm saying?
Like because what you were trying to say is that there's a like if you're speaking about like objective approach to it, is like there should be an artist that everyone should love because objectively their music is good. Like is that what like something about that along those lines?
It's along those lines. The key word that makes that kind of contradictory is the word love, because love is subjective.
Or
because there's artists, maybe there's artists or albums that if you're a music lover, you should be able to say whether or not that's good.
You have to respect it.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to love it. You don't necessarily have to listen to it, and it should be in your rotation. But for example, like I think the one that easily comes to mind is like someone like Kendrick Lamar, where even rap fans will say that they don't listen to him, but when someone brings up that Kendrick really and if you want to talk about albums like To Pimp a Butterfly, you'd be like, yeah, you can't say that album's trash. You could say he's like, you know what? I'm not into the conscious rap. I'm more into trap or something a little bit more not as lyrically dense, stuff like that. But you'd be like, but the effort's there, the music's there. It's, there's layers to it that you just have to respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like, let's say if someone like makes music and they're passionate about making their own music, but like, they don't like Kendrick Lamar or they don't like the Beatles or something. Is that discrediting to their? Like, how could you say that you love making music when these, like, pretty much goats, legends, like what Kendrick Lamar, like, living legend, like, you're discrediting their
You'd
artiste.
have to have...
Like, do you be, like, stupid?
I mean, the Beatles fan in me wants to, but if you have a sound reasoning, you can believe in whatever you want. But the reasoning has to be there.
You gotta back it up. Yeah,
so, like, if like someone says they just don't bang, bro.
Yeah, like if someone says this to me, I'm like,
for what?
Yeah,
for why? You're a troll.
Like I don't care about their music opinion. I don't at that point. If someone's just like they don't bang, I'm like, why are we even talking about them then? You know what I'm saying? It's like this is just a waste. You're wasting oxygen by even bringing that up. All right. I feel like so now that we're clear that I guess. Not that we're clear, but we're acknowledging that line between objectivity and subjectivity. When a topic, especially this time, like the best of 2019. So when you hear that question, what's your favorite? Let's say, what's the best album of 2019? Do you automatically go to the objective approach or the subjective approach?
Subjective.
Honestly, the objective. Even though I don't like... I'm not blasting it like every day in my car. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like a lot of people will tell me nah. Because personally, my favorite album in 2019 was Heaven Surrounds You by Surf Curse. I heavily fuck with that album. But I know a lot of people will be like, nah, there was a lot of better stuff that came out. But I don't know. Just for me personally, it just hit me in a certain type of way that actually made me want to go out and learn how to like develops like some skills to like playing music. It's like I want to do that, you know.
Yeah,
and I think Surrounds you did that for you.
I feel like it did.
Yeah.
So, that's how I approach it.
Well, I guess so. Well, now that I think you kind of took the lid off of this conversation, let's just go down the line and say your personal favorite, not objective, but your personal favorite albums of 2019.
Thinking about it, I didn't really do much research, but most of the albums that I was gonna bring to the table were not released in 2019. So now that I'm thinking about it, I have to follow up with that Heaven Surrounds You, since that one was released in 2019, and it's such a good album.
Yeah, I like that album. I'd say that's one
so for 2019, it has to be that album for me too.
What about you, David?
Well, okay, I was first gonna address the fact that you said like which one pops into our head first. Like, that objective and subjective. Mm-hmm. If you say the word best album of 2019, the way I'm gonna answer that question is the objective, like what popped the most, like who had the most hits, or like what did people love. I mean, that's
technically that's the right answer to do it objectively. The word best technically makes that an objective question.
So what is it?
But if you ask my favorite,
let's go favorite. Let's go favorite.
Right, okay. So Tool. Fucking Fear
Tool?
You know how long I've been waiting, bro?
No, yeah, for everybody. Tool's
That just hyped me the most. Like when they
and didn't everyone go crazy when they finally added like shit to Spotify or something?
Yeah, they
finally went on Spotify.
They weren't on Spotify before?
Never. I know everyone was going crazy.
Then how
did
people listen to them before?
YouTube, dog.
YouTube.
Vimeo. Said Vimeo, bro.
Oh, I'm like, what? And I feel like that's kind of a...
You had to go analog for them, yeah.
You had to go on fucking LimeWire.
Yeah, LimeWire.
Oh, damn.
Frostbite.
I was throwing it back.
I feel like that's an interesting choice because I've heard a lot of bad reviews about that album. But I think those reviews come from an objective place. I think...
It's not. It's just I was too hyped for it. I overhyped that. I think it has.
So no one couldn't tell you anything bad about it.
3 good songs, bro. And
that's exactly such a good album.
My favorite song on my favorite.
It's the best album of 2019, but I only fuck with 3 songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
but like, what else came out 2019 that I banged with? Like that.
Exactly,
I
right. Thinking about
that. Like that was the highlight of my year. Was that album when it dropped? Mm-hmm. It may not have been the best, but it was my favorite. You know, that was the question. But like, if we're talking about 2019, the best maybe, like what has blown up the most, I'd have to say Igor maybe.
I was gonna say that too.
Well, my favorite was that
you could say Igor,
I was waiting forever for it to drop, you know.
Yeah,
10+ years.
With Igor, I think that kind of hits both marks for me. I wouldn't say that one's my personal favorite, but it's up there. I'd say that's like because I try to listen to a lot of music that is hyped.
I like this.
Yeah, regardless if it's. Like, I like Tyler, the Creator. You know, I've seen him before, but I wouldn't say like I'm a huge Tyler fan.
Right. You
know, but when an album gets this much buzz, I do try to go out of my way and listen to it. And I think so it gets a thumbs up for me subjectively. Like I already like it, but even on an objective level, I feel like it's what I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Maybe ambitious. I think I can hear. I can see, Tyler's discography getting more ambitious as it goes, and I think Igor adds to that so well that I would have to say that might be the album of the year objectively. I might agree with you there. Personally, my favorite album of the year was it's hard because again Igor's right there, but I think I might give it to the album Morbid Stuff by Pup. It's a pop punk album.
Oh really?
I listened to it last
night. That's
I didn't see
the starting of the opening.
That was your favorite album, 2019.
It's funny, and I slept on it for months because
it came out in 2019.
It came out in like the beginning of the year. I don't know.
I don't know the exact month.
We went to go see him.
Yeah,
we went to go see him right when the album dropped, didn't we?
Yeah, and they were playing some Morbid Stuff. I didn't know it at the time.
It came out April 5th. Yeah,
19.
But like they were doing their Steven, they were doing their album tour for that, right? That's where we went to go see. Like, when we literally bought their tickets the night before. Actually,
I remember that.
We bought them. Yeah,
we had
at your
bonfire,
house.
No,
we're at your house.
I had just
what was the venue?
the night before.
I wasn't LA. I don't remember.
Telegram Ballroom.
Telegram Ballroom. Yeah, I didn't go. One, I had work. It was too last second. Like you said,
It
you guys
was
bought
hella last second.
Yeah,
Like,
I had work the
the
next
day-
day.
I had to
I
call
think.
off.
The day we bought them like at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like it was
Damn.
It was hella last minute.
And I was unfamiliar with them. I mean, I know some of their big songs just because they popped on my daily mix. So I would say that I like them, but not enough to like call off work last second, try to scalp a ticket. And I didn't listen to Morbid stuff at the time. I didn't listen to Morbid stuff until months later. I'm talking like end of November, early December. But man, that shit's been on repeat for me.
Really?
Personally. Yeah, but again, that's a subjective thing. I don't think. I mean, maybe I just don't listen to enough new rock albums this year to say that's the best. At least I can't even say that's the best rock album to come out this year. Because the thing with Tool, they're like pop punk to a degree. Whatever that pop really adds,
like that Blink aspect.
To a degree, I mean it's evolved so much since it's it's a totally different time. But like I think that falls with like Joyce Maynard, Jeff Rosenstock, Pup. I feel like those guys are all in the same level.
So what is that?
Sure.
Are y'all going to that? Did you buy the tickets?
Oh, for Jeff and Joyce Maynard, they just announced.
I really want to.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
on
clutch.
the spot, like just now.
I didn't.
She bought him on the spot.
Oh, damn.
She called me and she was like, "I'm buying
I
the
thought
tickets
about
right
it.
now."
Were they playing
I'm
at
like,
Union Station again?
okay.
Ooh, if they did, that would.
No,
Nah,
it's
that
in promotion.
guy
I
was
worked
nice.
that day, so I'm trying to get it.
It's super last second. But anyway, I feel like we're getting sidetracked.
Okay, so like, when we brought up Igor, it was we're bringing up that I feel like a lot of people when they watch this, they're gonna be like, Igor. I feel like that's gonna be a common response to that, and I just wanted to say we were going to like on the record. We're trying to settle the difference between objective and subjective. Yeah,
And there's just so many. The thing is, you have to acknowledge whether or not it applies to you. You have to acknowledge the bias that may come along with that, and by doing that, where we are, we're in Hawthorne. Fucking Tyler's from Hawthorne. He's seen as a fucking god over here to a lot of people. So, and the people that we follow on social media, everyone loves that shit.
How come it's not like that with Kuko?
Huh?
How come it's not like that with Kuko?
I don't think it's been long. One, I don't think it's been long enough. For sure.
Yeah, he's not. He can't put a Tyler.
And he's not hit that scale.
Dude, he's not on the same scale.
Bet he'll tour with them. Bet.
If it hasn't happened yet, I don't think it will.
Yeah, it shouldn't happen yet already.
You think he hit his peak already to the point where it's like if he hasn't?
He hit his peak, yeah, probably.
Maybe for locals, but I don't know about.
He gets a pretty well reception from where places he goes. At least what I see from the live videos, there's a lot of people go out
That's
to
what
see
I'm saying.
him.
Maybe for locals.
Tropicali?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that kind of event
But I
sounds
feel
tailor made for him.
I feel like it's
that's true.
it's easy for in California, especially.
Yeah, that hits artists like him, like Chicano Batman, for sure. I can imagine there you go.
Yeah, that's that.
They're old school though.
Smacked.
But I
I
mean,
saw this set by the way.
but when you're talking about someone like Tyler,
not on the same level.
well, yeah, he's on another level, and that's not even disrespect to Kugo. That's just he's not. Honestly, he's kind of on another level of artist right now. He was like GQ's Man of the Year.
Yeah, the thing is,
I wasn't saying
or
same
something
level,
like that.
but I was saying like you were saying that from Hawthorne he seems like as a god, but I at least when I talk to some people here, like I feel there's a lot of 50-50s here. Like they really
Kuko
bang with him,
for
or like
Kuko?
nah, not Kuko.
Oh yeah, but it's not like that for Tyler.
Yeah, and because your argument was that he's from here. So,
I don't think he's from here. Steven, look that up.
huh?
He's not from here. He stays local and he's very well known in the area, but I don't think he stays out here.
He went to Hawthorne High.
Kuko?
He went to Dana Middle School.
For real?
Yeah,
Deadass.
he lives in Hawthorne, dude.
He straight up says like, "Yeah, I'm from Boo Boo Ass Hawthorne." That's a quote.
He said boo boo.
He said Boo Boo Ass Hawthorne.
Yeah, it was on Nardwar's.
No, I know
interviews.
he stays out here. Like
he
if
told
you
them that.
can run into him.
But
like,
if he wasn't from here, why would he be in Hawthorne?
Think about
For
it. though.
real?
Think about it.
What is Hawthorne?
What do we have to offer?
Besides
SpaceX?
SpaceX?
That's about it.
Oh my god.
That's true, I guess.
But I mean, yeah, he's just on another level. And I think a part of it is obviously the genre of music. Like Kugo's music is a lot more niche. I think if you're a fan of that type of music, yeah, that bedroom pop. I mean, I don't want to get into it too hard because I don't know it, and I don't want people to be like, no, he's not bedroom or he's this, that. I really don't know what to call it. But we're like, where Tyler is rap, and he explodes. He's on like an echelon of rap that it kind of, I don't want to say crosses genres, but it hits different subgenres of rap to a degree. I think he has that kind of appeal.
Regardless, the whole point of it was that I was gonna say,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, right.
We're doing to something else. All right, go on though before we go into something else.
Sorry, David.
Like, if the reason I said Eagle was at like 2025, like when people look back at 2019,
and call it classic.
What is the album that defines this year? Like, oh yeah, which one? 2019. Like, what album is that?
I feel like that's such a hard question to answer.
Yep.
Like, looking back 5 years from now, 2019, what's the first album that's gonna pop into your head?
I feel like that's, I mean, for me personally, I think it will be Igor. But again, because of the bias of where we're from and the people we surround ourselves with all agree.
Like, worldwide would be a different
worldwide
question.
It's a different.
That's
yeah,
a different question.
But it's
like
so
some K-pop
hard to
shit.
say because I feel like I don't want to make it sound like our generation's the best generation to live in as far as music goes, but because there is so much music in our generation and we have access to it all through streaming platforms, there can't be one thing that sums it up. Maybe if you could say even for rap, if you want to try to answer that question, you could be like, what's the rap album? Like, what was the rap scene like? Maybe you can bring up an album like that. But to say one for the entirety, like music culture, it's too expansive to be subbed up in one genre by one album, in my opinion. I mean,
That's true.
and that's a cop-out answer. I hate giving that answer because that defeats any kind of possible conversation. But it's just too difficult to take a position for the entire fucking world.
Then exactly. But all right, then going
Fucking
off of
speak
that
for the world.
amount of
I can't, dude.
going
I
off
can't
of
speak
that
for
amount
myself.
of such a big picture general thing, what is the artist of the decade? Like, do we have an artist that defines, like, I guess 60s could be like Beatles. And
No, not could be.
It is.
Right.
It is.
Exactly. So that's like defined almost. Like, there's no one bigger than them in that decade. Michael Jackson had like the 80s, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is the right now, this decade that just happened? Do we have one?
I
that
think
comes
so.
out-
I feel
Too
like a
early
lot
to
of people get
recognize?
mad.
It is too early to recognize.
I think it's too
But
early to recognize.
we can still guess. You know, we
Yeah.
can. I think it's still worthy to talk about.
I've asked some people this question. If Giovanni's watching this, he will say Drake. And
I was going to say Drake. I know a lot of people get upset, but it's the
I'm
truth.
one of those people.
It's the truth. Are you telling me that when he released an album, there wasn't automatically hype
No,
for
you're
it?
right. You're right.
The
That
world-
was
I'm
Or
saying
band.
whether you like it or
Followed
not.
by
you're telling me-
disappointment.
You're
Yes,
telling
I
me
agree with
you are
that.
telling me that you could, when you go on Twitter, that you wouldn't see something about Drake even when he's not releasing an
Look,
album.
You're
going to see-
telling me that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you're putting.
I'm gonna say what I'm saying is when you have kids, your kids are going to tell you, "Fuck, Dad, you lived in the time where Drake was making music,"
So,
and
how
you'll
I
be
bail on my
like,
family,
disappointed,
bro.
I know.
You're saying is-
I'm
But-
leaving.
Yeah,
"Okay,
exactly.
then
But you're
let's hear
what
some
you're
other
basically
names."
saying is that you're putting Drake side by side with the Beatles and Michael Jackson.
But okay.
Because
Well,
that's how legendary they are.
well, when
But
you're
the-
talking
but
about
we're
the
getting-
whole
well, that's the
decade.
thing. Defining a decade is not necessarily saying the best of the decade. We're not saying Drake's the best rapper of the decade.
objective best. Of
Wait,
these
well,
two.
that's the thing. Objective best, like you brought up before, when you say the word best, that,
Right.
but that's not what you said. You said an artist that defines a decade. There's there's decades that are not as good as others musically. You know what I mean? When you're talking about something that is reflective of our time, as far as like the kind of music you're putting out, are we going to hear that in the year 2037 and be like, dude, that takes me back to the
It will.
2010s?
It will.
Nah.
Do you think
It
he's the
will.
best example?
Drake?
I mean, I agree it will, but do you think that's the best example of the
I
2010s?
think it is. I think it is. Because you're telling me you
Wait,
never
hold
like,
on. Let's see if look this up. Look it up. Who is it?
What do you mean? What are you looking up?
look up best artist.
There isn't one.
But that's good. That's an
But
opinion.
you're saying it's objectively Drake.
No, I'm not saying.
Did you just say that?
He's saying that.
Who's saying that?
I'm against that.
Ryan.
I'm saying that.
But
Put that
what are
on
you
the
saying?
record.
Best or defining?
Defining our generation, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll say that. That if someone were to say that Drake was the most defining artist of the decade,
It's the best. Not
Okay,
the
let
one
me
that
read this
defines-
out
I wouldn't
to
say
you.
best.
Let me read
but
this out to you.
I would be more upset by the word best than defining. If someone said defining, I don't know if I could argue that
Steven-
just because
Steven
of his
got our
Billboard
answer.
success. What happened?
I just Googled searched best artists of the decade 2010s, and Drake was like the first one to come up.
Yeah.
But
But,
that's
okay,
Google.
that's
That's
Okay,
not-
I see. I'm not
Who
saying.
said
bro.
that?
Bing
I'm not-
it. Bing it.
I'm
Like
not.
it.
not
Bing
bashing
it.
on his
Fuck
shit.
Stout
Put
it.
that. I'll be
Good.
like, shut the
You're
fuck
using
up.
Google. Bing it, bro.
Based off of statistics, like
And that's what I'm saying.
searches, most streams,
And
you know what I
that's what you could say about the Beatles and fucking Michael Jackson, Madonna. Like you can say they were fucking pumping out records and it shit was hitting. Like let me read this out to you. Thank me later. You're telling me that shit didn't slap.
I didn't listen.
Okay,
Take
don't
care.
ask me that.
Take
Don't ask me
care.
that. I would say no.
Take care.
Don't ask me.
Yeah, you're
I
asking
could
the
say
wrong
that's
people.
potentially album of the decade. Nothing was the same.
I don't
If
know
you're
about
reading
that.
this,
Tripping.
it's too late. Views. It stopped Scorpion. I would say every
Views, Scorpion, Free
More
Smoke.
Life.
Hold on.
Rash.
Hold on. Are you
I'm
on his discography right now? How far back does his music go? Like when did he? Be-
That goes
nothing
yeah,
before that.
2000.
Okay.
Yeah, with like some like
So he does have some
EPs
stuff
and
before.
mixtapes at 2009.
But he blew up
Best I ever
starting-
had.
He blew
Came
up
out with the fucking banger.
2010. Okay.
I'm saying people get mad about this, but it that's what it is.
It
I'm
is what it is.
Counteractive with me.
I'll say this. I'm one of those people who are upset. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm upset that it's true.
I can
That's why
understand.
it bugs
I can
me.
understand that. I can understand.
No,
but
I won't not stand to let that be true because I can't put him on the same level as these two other decades.
Okay, but okay,
you're telling me that 30 years from now Drake's music will still hold up like these other two artists of like very well-known decades do?
I'm saying
30
like
years
his
from
greatest
now,
hits
he'll hold
will.
up.
His greatest hits will.
You're telling me your
I'm telling
kids
you,
will listen to
I'm
Drake
telling
and
you,
think
if you're
like, "Man,
alive,
this
if you can make it,
slaps,"
if you can make
like-
it to like
Well, that's
50
them
years
liking
old,
it.
you will hear Hotline Bling on some fucking random ass radio station. Like, alright then.
But that's the thing. You're saying the kids are gonna like it. When I think of defining, like I don't want to repeat what we were saying before.
You're telling me 30 years from now Brian's kids will be wearing a Drake shirt.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No.
I'm literally not saying that. I'm saying
People wear Beatles shirts now and
I
got
know,
that
but,
shit
but I'm talking
everywhere.
about like defining. It's like you're going to hear Hotline Bling. You're like, dude, that sounds like.
No, yeah,
20
he has a point.
What year? I don't know what year that album came out.
It's like 2016.
2015, 16.
Yeah, but like you're gonna be like, dude, that sounds like 2016. That sounds like 2010's rap. That's what I think defining. Like when I hear the Beatles, I'm like, that sounds like the 60s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
When
for
I
sure.
hear Nirvana, I'm like, that sounds like the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I
There we
mean?
go. That's another example. Yeah, the 90s. Woo. Yeah, exactly.
That's what, but I'm saying defining. I'm not saying like Nirvana was the best band of the 90s,
Right.
but I'm saying defining where it's like
'Cause rap
sum
started
up
popping
and
that time,
sum
too.
up one sound, or I mean
That
one
defined
decade in
the
a sound.
decade?
Yeah. If you're answering that question,
It
and you
has-
say Drake, I'm upset that that answer is probably accurate. I'm upset. Is that why you're laughing?
Dude, exactly. I'm upset. See what I'm saying? Oh my god, I'm done.
If it has to be defining sound,
But that's
Vic's brought this up before, and this is going into rock. It has to be Mac DeMarco or Tame Impala.
yeah.
I mean, because I don't know as far as rap, I
I-
don't know really who defined a rock, I mean, a rap sound.
But we're still sticking with defining. Or
yeah,
you say-
defining,
But
not
we're
best,
saying
not
about
best.
rock.
I would say probably Tame Impala.
Yeah, I agree.
But
'Cause
Mac
they
brought
brought
the
Because
indie.
Mac DeMarco was
Mac
like
brought
indie.
the indie.
But he's an indie giant, dude. Exactly, like an indie, strictly DIY artist, does everything himself, very
Like Mac.
lo-fi. That dude ends up on fucking Jimmy Fallon. That guy's on the late night show doing that. That is unheard of. You
He's
know,
on the hot ones.
yeah, he's on fucking Hollins. It's like he's doing the bare minimum to be a celebrity, yet he still is. And I think Tame Impala's kind of hit that popularity too. I don't think if anything, Tame might be. I don't know. I would need the statistics of that.
Because there's a lot of people that like listen to like maybe mainly it's still like Tame Impala slaps.
Yeah. Not the same for Mac.
It like jumps genres and stuff, you know. That's why I consider Tame.
Bray.
All right. So the camera went out after the first 30 minutes, but we're back and we looked over it, and we were talking about what were we talking about?
Indie kids and Mac DeMarco.
No. We were saying
Tame Impala.
we're saying Tame and Mac were the two
the face of the rock decade.
Yeah, and I think all three of you were saying Tame, and it cut off.
No. I was sort of agreeing on Mac, but never mind. That doesn't matter.
Well, I didn't
Honestly,
bring up Mac that
honestly,
much.
Okay.
I mess with Mac more, but I could acknowledge that it was Tame.
I feel the reason
Strokes.
It cut off, so it didn't get caught on. That's the definition of cut off. But when the camera died, I was saying that I think Mac DeMarco's influence on the genre is what separates him from Tame. I think Tame takes a huge role in bringing back kind of, I guess, I don't want to say bring necessarily that they're in charge of bringing like psychedelic rock back, but they played a bigger role than anybody else I can name off the top of my head, and they've had the most mainstream success while doing that. And their discography, every single album is a good album. Like I'm not trying to take anything away from Tame Impala, but when I'm talking about like defining the decade, like we're talking about with Drake, I think Mac DeMarco's influence is just too heavy to deny, from his sound to his fan base. How many kids, and granted, we're all fans of indie to some degree, but how many kids in our area have vintage windbreakers, cut off pants or rolled up pants to their damn knees, dirty ass old schools, a dad hat, and smoke American spirits, shit like that? That is pure Mac DeMarco influence, and those are people who don't necessarily.
What was the first thing you said? What kind of jacket?
Like a vintage
windbreakers.
Vintage in what way?
Huh?
Like
Vintage, as in like
okay.
it was
Oh,
made in,
or like
Wait,
an
the way-
80s Nike.
the
one.
way I think vintage is more like kind of color.
Like the one
but
me and
that's
Alex
not
got.
specific to. That's
You're
not
talking
what
like
vintage
that.
means. Vintage means old.
old.
But
Yeah.
but I'm saying vintage from that specific era of like color blocking, like think of Nike's windbreaker straight out the 90s, something like that.
Yeah, like
but
that
that's what
baggy fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are people who don't even necessarily have to listen to Mac DeMarco, but his music has spawned that kind of aesthetic that has swallowed up all listeners of indie. And I feel, and that's not even the music. That, like I said, that's just his aesthetic influence. If you're talking about his music, there are way too many bands that go for a very slow tempo and try to be wavy with and they're just too reliant on 3 synth chords, fucking hella chorus with 3 chords on their guitar, and decent to mediocre singing. And how many shitty versions of
Needs more
Chamber of
delay.
Reflection on Bandcamp right now?
That song
SoundCloud.
bangs.
That
though.
song does bang, but it bangs from him. Anybody else trying to recreate that is so fucking annoying because there's been so many people trying to do that.
Blue Boy?
Hmm?
Blue Boy?
Who do you think has
bangers.
who do you think has remade it like successfully?
No one. I don't
No. Like, okay,
There has
Mac
to be
has
other-
to have influenced someone else
I'm
good
not saying
enough
he has
to
an
be.
influence, but me personally, I don't think anybody that sounds like Mac is very good. Because I think he's in a lane on his own.
Didn't he spawn like the whole bedroom stuff?
Yeah. that's
bedroom
what I'm
coffee, you
saying.
can say that. You can definitely
Well,
say
home
that.
shake and stuff like that.
Where it's
Or
like
Bane's World.
it's the
Bane's
whole,
World?
It's the whole DIY thing.
Hold on, now I'm curious to know what is the genre of the decade. Like, we look at
Aw,
you know
that's
what
no
I'm saying?
brainer.
That's an easy given.
Is it?
Hip hop?
Is it?
Shut up, friend.
Wait,
You do
why?
not believe
If
that.
it's so
What'd you
crystal
say?
clear, if it's so crystal clear,
I said
then
rock.
why is it that when we first said what is like the artist of the decade or the song of the decade or whatever, it was Igor and we said Drake. Like, these were the two, like this past year and this decade, these are the two artists.
Mhm.
But like right now we're talking about like indie rock.
Because we started off with the decade, and then I switched it to the rock artist.
Yeah.
So specifically,
that's why we're going into that.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about like defining the decade, we were talking about this off camera. It has to be a rap or hip hop artist because this is the decade where
when you look 30 years back, it'll be
not only that, but we talked about it in the last podcast. I think it was a Genius article. I don't know how valid that is, but they said hip hop overtook rock officially as the most popular genre.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that is reflective of the 2010s. I think that's the year that rock officially kind of went under. Yeah. You could say it died, but there's still good rock music, so I wouldn't go as far and say that. I just think that it's strayed so far away from the mainstream. Like the artists we were talking about, like with Mac DeMarco and Tame Impala, there's artists like them that are too good to say that rock has died. It's just evolved under different labels like indie or like psychedelic or bedroom. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where that's what rock is nowadays, and that's so far away from the mainstream.
Shoegaze.
Shit like that. In a way, I guess that kind of bleeds into what I wanted to talk about eventually. I'm assuming you guys saw Billboard's top rock songs of the decade.
Bruh. What?
Steven, do you have that pulled up? Can I get a reminder?
Pull it up.
Who hired them, bro?
Based off statistics and Imagine Dragons.
Top 3 is Imagine Dragons songs. Do you want me to give you the mic?
Yeah. Okay.
Go read it out.
So, for top 3, we have Believer by Imagine Dragons, Thunder, and Radioactive. Statistically, those are the best rock songs of the decade.
These have to be like 12-year-old little girls. Just have the fucking songs on YouTube on replay.
I feel like those songs already came out a long time ago.
And just add numbers by re-listening to it so much.
Why the girls?
Because how can that many people be listening to these songs? Like, who do you? How you?
There's 7 billion people in the world.
No, how many have listened, or how many?
It doesn't say how many people. It just that's the top.
But that's Billboard. Billboard is really by the numbers.
Where are these people? Like, how often do you come across someone that's like, bro, Imagine Dragons, that's just
fly. You're right.
That's what I was talking about way earlier in the podcast.
Like, where are they at?
I'll tell you. They're the people driving to work who don't give a fuck about what they're listening to.
So then that's not listening. That's just
no. But that's what Billboard. But that's what.
Like I said, the YouTube is just on replay, and it just keeps being played.
We brought that up earlier.
That's what I'm like. Billboard. That's what Billboard does. Billboard charts. They're charting plays.
So then it's not accurate then.
In a way,
if you're talking about if you're coming in from an objective standpoint, maybe numbers are the best way to indicate what is the best. Because you're talking about objective, something you cannot argue. You cannot argue with numbers. You cannot argue with stream totals, or record sales. I don't know, fucking tours and tickets and money made from certain bands. So if that's the case, that's the objective list, and there's not really anything anybody can argue. However, when you say that,
when you label it rock music, that's what got us upset.
That's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
No.
Because we're saying we're talking about artists like Mac DeMarco and Tame Impala, and to us, and I think most people who really claim to love music and love rock music, they say those guys are the face, not fucking Imagine Dragons.
Or who else was on?
Are they? Are they even rock though?
I want to quote something that Jay-Z said. It's basically, we praising Billboard when we were young. Oh no, we was praising Billboard when we were young. Now we look at Billboard like, is you dumb? Yeah. Jay-Z said that.
And that rhymed.
The thing about that is, it's because
the mic.
The generation he comes from, Billboard was a big deal because streaming wasn't a thing at the time. With streaming totally changed the music industry and how we measure success in music, really. And just how much, because again, like Imagine Dragons being played in the radio constantly. I'm sure it's on a shit ton of people like Spotify's or Apple Music's like just playlists to get you through your day and stuff like that. Just it's background music, but every time it's used as background music,
it gets numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why Billboard.
It's playing in like fucking Urban Outfitters everywhere. It's
For
playing
real?
in Forever.
You go to Urban Outfitters?
No, I'm just saying. Like I feel like that's where they would be playing in the background over and over and over. You know what I'm saying? Like 12-hour days, and that song comes on like
Urban Outfitters.
No, I think not Urban Outfitters.
The radio.
Urban Outfitters makes it. What's it called? They make it a point to be indie, to the point where it's like trying hard to be indie, trying hard to be a DIY. So I doubt it, but I get your idea. But most retail stores,
it's like commercialized. So like,
would you say that Urban Outfitters is trying so hard that they're making indie mainstream?
They basically they pick up on the songs that get burned out.
It's like what happened to Hot Topic will eventually, and it's what I guess is currently happening to a place like Urban Outfitters.
Wait, what happened to Hot Topic?
Well, Hot Topic, like when it
was actually like people liked it.
Yeah, when it first came
you
out,
couldn't always get a Banty like.
Yeah, when Hot Topic was like a big deal, like its peak, it was like that one place where it's like I don't dress like normal kids. I wear band T-shirts. I wear nerd shit or whatever, you know. But because it's gone so big and so corporate and so popular, it's pretty tame to how it used to be. And I think Urban Outfitters is the same way, but with kids who are trying to be indie, trying to be.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah, I guess so. Because I'm not gonna lie, I shop at Urban Outfitters. Like that's not where my whole fit comes from.
Shame.
But I do like it. I do. There's some stuff
what
that
is
like
wrong with you?
Like they'll have like a Levi's jacket there, and you do Afterpay.
But that's the thing.
You can't get a Levi's jacket
from
somewhere
Urban Outfitters,
else.
by the way, but
Urban Outfitters sponsorship, get at Brian. But the thing
I've
is,
been there. I've been there.
I think okay.
I've never bought anything.
I think we fell off the topic at hand, and we were talking about
Billboards top 10. Imagine Dragons. They are the best.
We're talking about why do you think it's labeled rock music? I guess that's the main point where everyone was upset about. If you were to say this was top 10 pop music, I'd be like. I could Imagine say Dragons some rock? Songs would go up there, but I guess we wouldn't be so upset. But if you since they're labeling it rock music, that's where everyone was like, "Hold up!" But why do you think that? Why do you think these people are saying this is rock music?
I think because the music industry. I don't know. I'm about to say I don't know who to blame specifically. Like I don't know who's in charge of this stuff as far as saying that this falls under rock, but the people who name this stuff are lazy, and they're like, well, this isn't quite hip hop, you know, this doesn't have the same listeners as someone like Kendrick
or R&B, right?
Or this isn't R&B, and this is a little too hard for pop. Like this doesn't sound like Carly Rae Jepsen or Carly Rae Jepsen. It doesn't sound like them.
Shit hard.
You know, this is not country. So you know what? We'll call it rock. This is just evolved rock. This is what rock sounds like in our day and age. I think it's so bullshit how that people who deemed that as rock decided that for a generation of listeners who listen to shit, anything else but that, you know?
So this is probably, I don't know if this even like fits into this. So let's say we have, or whoever's in charge of, you know, all that listens to rock. Do you think Imagine Dragons would still be up there in the top 3?
I'm sorry, ask that again.
So let's say, not that part, but do you think if someone that actually listened to rock were in charge of the Billboard, do you think Imagine Dragons would still be up there with the top 3?
No, not at all. I don't think.
What do you mean? You just said that Billboard was nothing but numbers, and the objective truth was that that's what pops up on Billboard.
He also said that he doesn't know who's in charge, doesn't know who to blame exactly.
I thought it didn't matter who was in charge. I thought it was just whatever the numbers put out.
No, but now we're not talking about that. We're talking about like what defines rock music, and is that the best representation of rock music? That's the part we're arguing.
I thought Billboard was just numbers and statistics.
No, but that's not what he's asking. Well, that's not where the conversation led to.
Just to kind of like add on to Vic's comment about like the whoever was in charge of labeling that list as rock songs, there's a Lumineers song "Ho Hey" right there on like number 4, I think, and that's folk. That's not rock music. That's a folk song, you know. So it's low key. Hey, I'm not saying it's a bad song, but it's not rock.
I don't hate that song.
Yeah, it's not rock. So it's kind of evident that whoever was in charge of labeling it, was lazy.
Sucks.
Yeah, he sucks.
It's
He
not even folk
what if
rock.
it's a girl?
It just says rock.
What if it's a she?
It just says rock. That's a folk song. You know what I mean?
There's nothing rock about it.
Straight up folk. No,
I think
there's no crossover.
Can we,
do you know that song?
No, I don't.
I'm not gonna sing it for you right now, but I guarantee if I play it for you, you're gonna be like, "Oh, that song." No, stop. Anyways,
all right. So, what defines rock in your own terms?
that's hard to say, but it's not Imagine Dragons, and it's not the Lumineers. I think.
Do you think it needs to have like the basic instruments to play? Like I say, rock music, which is like obviously vocals, drums, guitar, bass.
Yeah, I was gonna say rock needs to have those things, and for the most part, a lot of those artists do have that. But that's not the end all be all. That's not like if you use real guitar, you're making a rock song.
Okay, hold on. Going back to the like folk and rock thing, have you heard of the song? You heard Drunken Lullabies by Flogging Molly? Would you consider that? Would you have? No, you don't know.
I know who they are, but
okay, I was just gonna say like, would you consider that rock or folk? Or a crossover of, but no, just that song or like. Just,
I don't know that song.
I haven't heard that
I know
song.
the band. I don't know the song.
Okay, well, I think for the most part, a lot of the songs are in that style. When you say that's rock, would you say that's?
I mean, you could say that's rock for that time, I guess. But
is that song Lumineer Brothers? Is that one like that?
It's like I said, I didn't hear the song. I don't know that song.
No, he's talking about the Lumineer song that was on the chart.
Yeah, I know.
You haven't listened to it?
But the song that you're saying.
No. I'm not talking about the one I'm talking about the one they were saying.
Point is,
Brian knows what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter. It's a folk song. That's what we know. It's
mislabeled.
It's a folk song. That's the point. But the idea that just because it has guitar and it doesn't have electronic drums, that shouldn't be the reason why it's labeled rock. Rock shouldn't be because, like, well, the subject matter isn't something a hip-hop or rap song will talk about. It's too edgy for regular pop, even though I just think it should be called pop. I don't think pop should... The idea of pop music shouldn't be
like
music without an edge. Yeah.
To like
Exactly.
maybe they were trying to like expand pop music, and then like these people who are in charge were like, no, that's not pop.
Yeah, like to me, Imagine Dragons is a pop group. It just they have a little bit of edge to them as far as kind of like a little bit of I don't know the best word. I would say like kind of like a oomph or like a louder and deeper points in their music. But I don't think it's enough to say it's rock because it's so heavily reliant on electronics, but not to the point where it's like. Someone like Tame Impala uses like a lot of synth and I guess electronic music and uses electronic influences, but at its core, there's something about it that it's still rock.
I wouldn't say that about his newer stuff.
I'm not talking about his newer stuff. I'm talking about Tame Impala in general.
Okay.
But
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's when powerful people in the industry start controlling the labels of certain genre. That's when people outside the genre, that's when that gives them the green light to say it's dead. Like, people who don't listen to rock will say it's dead, but people who do listen to rock, they're like, no, it's strong. It's still alive and well. It's just not the music that you're thinking of. Because the music they're thinking of is Imagine Dragons, is 21 Pilots, or whatever other bands are in that list, you know? But
so, like,
rock
it goes back to that thing, like, if you really, truly love music, you'll go out and venture to
and I think that's
stuff.
kind of the culture that surrounded rock music for the longest.
Do you think it's better that way? That like rock is now low key. It's now low key.
Yeah, I think
it's better that way.
It's better that way. One, because it separates the people who love music. You know. So it's like if you listen to rock, it's because you make an effort to listen to rock, and therefore I already know you care about music more than the average person. There's that. Two, with rock music, because there's just so many subgenres. If you're like, for example, if you're a fan of punk is as low key as it's ever been. You know, punk's always been underground.
It's like its mission statement to be
underground. Yeah. You know, rock was never meant to be that mainstream to begin with, in my opinion.
So it blew up.
She blew up because it's good.
So you know how we were talking about like like these pop artists and music that come out and the people who don't really listen to music, they're giving them music on a silver platter. Like, this is what you can listen to if you don't really like have any music preference. But like, let's say like 20, 30 years ago, rock was the pinnacle of music. Like, that's what everyone listened to. And I'm pretty sure those people still were alive, like back, not the same people, but those type of people were alive back then. It's like, I don't really listen to music, but Nirvana's on the radio. Like, I'm listening to Nirvana. Is that like?
But I don't think Nirvana was on the radio the way it is now. Nirvana's on the radio now because it's become classic rock.
Or
I'm pretty
sure there were some rock bands that were like on the radio. Like, okay, let's bring it back to a little bit of like even in the 2000s, like Linkin Park. Like, if you didn't really listen to like rock music, you would hear Linkin Park on the radio.
Yeah, I feel like Linkin Park is the Imagine Dragons of that decade.
But like, does that like I personally like their old Linkin Park? I like it.
Old Linkin Park. I feel like
I totally think that's the case, and I really hope that Imagine Dragons don't become the Linkin Park of this decade when we look back 20 years from now.
Imagine Dragons. If I were to compare Imagine Dragons
to Linkin Park,
no. If I were to compare Imagine Dragons to a band that, you know, not necessarily the 2010s, but kind of before that, to any other band, I would compare them to Nickelback.
Oh my God, really?
Favorite.
I mean,
hear me out.
Okay, go.
Everyone loves to hate on them. Yeah. Everyone like objectively agrees like this is not a good group.
Straight shit.
However,
Nickelback
is a platinum selling artist.
I know.
Someone's buying those fucking records.
Exactly.
Exactly what we're talking about right now with Imagine Dragons. Someone's listening to them. That's what I'm. So you see the comparisons there.
But what I was saying is like people who are listening to this rock music back then, you're saying like because it's good music. So does that excuse those people because it's like, all right, at least you're listening to good music in your eyes, or no, it's the same deal. Like, those people just don't get it. Like, get that this isn't like we're shooting on those people now, but those people were the same back then, listening to what rock was put on the radio. Is that okay?
I think
because it was rock and because we like it. So, no, that's okay. That's being pretty biased.
No,
right?
Because there's plenty of bad rock bands that got popular. Nickelback being one of them. You know, like they were the radio all the time, and then people who didn't care about music that much just accepted that as like, oh, this is the pinnacle of rock music, especially right now. It's like it is what it is at that point. You know, there's not really anything you could say about it because those are bands for people who don't love rock music, let alone music at all. You could possibly argue, but with like a band like Linkin Park. Their whole thing is based on edge and angstiness, and there is a clear edge to them that makes them. I mean, there was a lot of crossover between rock and rap. Yeah. I think that, and that's what, and I think that played big in them getting big, you know. Yeah. So that they're a different kind of case, but you couldn't deny that's where rock was in that era, I guess, and I guess you can argue that here. Like that, maybe that's just where rock is, but the key difference that, again, music streaming services have changed the game where it's like, now you don't have to listen to what's on the radio. At that time, you kind of had to, or you had to look at LimeWire. It was even harder back then.
You gotta
but now there's no
buy the music.
uTorrent.
Yeah, but now there's no excuse to be listening to bad music. Like that. You know, it's like back then you'd be like, it's on the radio. Now, what else am I going to do? Now with...
buy a CD.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude... But even then, you don't know what's good because you haven't heard it before. You're going to buy
my computer got a virus. Can I use your LimeWire?
To our generation...
It was like...
it was like that. But to our generation, that's unheard of. But that's what I'm saying. In today's age, there's no excuse to be listening to bad music because you have the access to everything in your fucking pocket. So regardless of who's being played on the radio, it's like... Why are you listening to this shit?
Why are you even listening to radio in today's age?
Exactly.
Because your phone died.
That's the
really like the
only
only.
reason.
I either forgot my phone.
And you forgot your charger.
I got no
Like
signal.
GPS, like, you know.
Yeah.
My car doesn't have an aux.
Your car doesn't have an
Your
aux.
car
That,
doesn't have an
why are you
aux.
driving that car?
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, be that way.
it'd be that way. I don't know.
Cassette to aux.
So like,
Those came in clutch.
so
CD
if we
to
come-
aux.
If we come to the conclusion like that's not rock,
What
I
is-
mean, I'd say like what started this conversation, Tame Impala and Mac DeMarco. If someone's never heard rock music, let's just say, I know that's such an absurd question, but if someone be like, I've never heard rock music. What?
I know some people
What I know
like that.
it's absurd, bro.
It's crazy, bro.
But like if they go up to you in 2027, let's say, they're like, what were the biggest rock acts of the 2010s? You're gonna say Tame and Mac?
No.
the 2010s?
The teens.
Again,
You said no, but
objective
you
or
said Tame Impala was the
subjective.
artist of the decade for rock. What are you talking about?
But
That's the same question essentially.
Because we're talking
Yeah.
objective or subjective.
If
I
Because
debunk-
if
say
so-
debunk my
subjective,
I would
Subjective,
feel
like,
comfortable
personally,
saying Tame.
I'll put like
Biggest.
Like,
if
I
my-
wouldn't.
I guess that's kind of objective to a
they
How
were
certain
barely
degree.
coming
Objective.
out during those years.
because
They were barely coming out during those years. Like
But,
Mac
all,
and Tame.
but everything you know of them came out in this 10-year span.
Because in all honesty, when if let's say like your kids will come up to you when you're like 40 years old
When
and you're chilling in your garage, like, Dad, what was rock music like back then? I'm pretty sure you're gonna put on.
Wait a
record
sec, we're
or
having two
whatever.
different conversations. What's
Hey, don't worry about it, bro.
no, dude?
he asked when did Red Hot Chili Peppers get big? They were like in the 80s.
Late 80s.
Yeah. They started. Hey, but they started out as funk. That was.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
that
What
was
were you
really
saying,
ass.
Brian?
Um,
Before you were rudely interrupted.
It wasn't even me, bro.
thank-
I was
thank
talking to
Jesus I
Fernando.
remember. But what's he saying? Thanks, David. If you guys, because someone asked you like what was like rock music back then in the 2010s, you're gonna put on your favorite album, right? Or like you would do that. You wouldn't put on an album of what came out in 2010.
I don't even know what I was listening in
2010s.
2010. That's what I'm trying to think back to.
I'd say Mac DeMarco's 2 or Tame Impala's Lonerism.
But I only heard those albums like after I graduated from high school in 2016.
But that's the
But it
2010s.
came out in those years. Because for me, I put on an album of Joyce Manor. I would do that, but that's being subjective.
Yeah.
But if that was the face of rock, it
But they
wasn't.
smack.
No, but that's the thing. The question is like, who are the biggest rock artists? That's what I'm saying.
This decade?
Yes.
I'll probably say Mac, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. We were saying Mac and Tame. We asked
We
that
agree.
question earlier, literally, and
agree.
everyone said Tame. But
So
now
why
I'm
you
asking
not?
you. You guys are like, I don't know.
So then why are we on the same question?
Yeah.
I thought we settled
Just-
it.
Well, fuck it. What do you want to talk about, David?
Okay.
What do you want to talk about, bro?
I don't know, man.
All right, just
Okay,
roll
then.
up the next.
Hit the next one.
How about like, how has the internet affected music throughout this decade?
Memes and music.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
That
it
answers that.
provides-
Memes. You
friend.
could just say memes. That's a one word.
Oh, I
answer that
thought we were
works.
just. I didn't mean to just
Internet
one word
affected
that.
music. It's so easy to
Hit us
listen
with,
to
hit
whoever
us
you
with one.
want.
Pull one
And
up.
it's so
A
much
meme?
easier.
I'm
Wait a
not
sec,
a
what is
memer.
it,
I'm not a
dog?
memer.
Why are you talking over other people?
What's going on?
Go. I was talking to Fernando because he just.
But you can't be
talking.
speaking while another person's
Oh
speaking,
my
dog.
God.
Two conversations in one is not gonna work.
That's what I'm saying.
Internet streaming. It's so much
Amateur
easier
hour.
for people to put out their music, and I think that's like
You think that's good?
I can't see what's bad about it. Well, I think that's great. Why? What makes it bad? Because there's a lot of shit music.
Too
out
much.
there.
Too much music.
It's harder to get out there. You think?
It's harder to get big or big with the internet.
I don't know if it's harder.
Do you
It's I think it's so much more random.
Do you think it's bullshit for someone to get so big, making like no? I don't think it's bullshit, but like if you're making music in your room, you never performed live, and you got big off of that. Is that kind of like a discredit to people who are trying to like who actually go out and actually like book venues and book everything to try like this is my music.
I think it's
trying
just
to push
a smarter
it out there.
approach. I think it's the more efficient approach. It's the more efficient way to do.
So then how did they do it?
Sorry, what was that?
How did they do it back then during the 70s and 80s? I mean, they had to make music in some form of like room. Obviously, they didn't have the internet.
But with the internet, you can go in and release it and people can listen to it. If you were back then, you had to go physically get up, get your instruments, get people.
You had to perform good live.
You had to perform good live.
Where it's like today, you can just become a big artist because you made some crazy production in your room. You know what I'm saying?
So it's made it easier, not harder.
That's what we're asking.
Is it easier or harder?
Then it's much easier. You can gain a following from just being in your room rather than getting like working for that following.
I don't know if it's easier because there's so many people doing that. It's saturated the whole entire.
I get you.
You know what I mean? It's like everyone thinks that they have what it takes. That all they need is their laptop, and they can make something so fire that it's just it's the cream and it's gonna rise to the top. And
I'm not saying this is like no disrespect to anyone who's doing that, like
But I mean, again,
at least they're trying.
It's not disrespect. It's not disrespectful to them because it's like, if you're an artist, that's what you do. You got to do what you can with the means that are available to you, and just put yourself out there. At the end of the day, that's really all any artist can do over any medium, for that matter. But it's hard to get big because it seems so random. Like, we were talking about like with the internet, and we're talking about memes, right? And if we're trying to keep it in theme of 2019 and this decade, Lil Nas X with Old Town Road, that song was pretty much a meme. You know, when everyone first heard it.
When I first heard of it, it was a meme.
It's like, did you think of it as like this is just? Like,
I was so confused. I was like, what is this? There was just so much hype around it, and I was like, what is this?
It was trash, but it blew up because it was funny.
That's why I was gonna say I saw it as a meme first, and then I listened to the song.
Well, exactly, and
he made the song to be one, though. I think. I don't think he was serious when he made that. I thought he made it to be funny, like crossing over country music with rap.
I think so too. I think he was like,
who
that was
the
on
fuck
purpose.
thinks of that? Like, sure. People hate on country and it's trash, and then like they come out of it's like
I can see the logic in doing that.
Make a beat with it.
Because maybe that's just where country needs to go. Because I feel like country is the slowest moving genre out of all the main music genres, like hip hop, rock, and all that stuff. Country's been country forever with no type of evolution.
I totally think Lil Nas took that genre and put it into his song to make fun of it.
You don't think he's legitimately
serious about it at all?
I don't think his first intentions was, hey,
I'll make a
country slaps. Let me bring it into the rap. And just people will love it.
I don't think I
totally thought
that.
His first intention was like, this shit's gonna be funny, and
I think there's a part of because some of the lyrics are funny, where he's talking about like the stereotypical country stuff where he's talking about cheating on his girl, he's talking about riding on a tractor, but
for real, he's made in that song,
But the point is, like, I don't think he did it necessarily to make fun of country music. I don't think necessarily he was a fan of country music, but maybe he was like, you know what? This is something that no one else is doing that could be big. Maybe he recognized it's like, this is what country music and hip-hop music kind of needs. They need someone to play this role that blends these two genres together because that happens everywhere else. Someone was like, rock and rap can coexist. Then there's that Run DMC Aerosmith, and there's Anthrax and Public Enemy, and then bands like Rage Against the Machine who completely blend. That's like saying, I feel like that statement could be, you think someone's like, these guys are not actually fans of hip hop.
He may have, but I'm just saying, was Lil Nas' first intentions to do that?
I would just find it hard to believe that he made that song to be funny. It blew up, and he's like, now I'm a serious musician now.
That's what I think happened. I could be wrong,
because his music.
That's the way I look at it. That's what I think happened.
I think maybe more as a hobby, more. I don't think he was just like, wow, now this is my career. I think it might have just been like, I'm into it. Let me put this out, and then it just happened to blow up.
I think that he's just a kid that's truly raised by the internet and truly raised by memes and use that to his advantage. But I think hearing that, he's wanted to do music for real. Always. And he's like, I could be funny and I can add my quirks to it.
But that gave him his edge, though.
Yeah, and I think he used that purposely. I think he wanted to be successful in music, and he's like, I could use this I could use the country thing. I could use my internet wittiness, I guess, whatever you want to call it. I think he knew what he was doing.
I see this in the same way, like Filthy Frank blew up and then wanted to become a real artist and became Joji. You know what I mean?
That.
Like
I think that's totally different.
Like he wasn't a musician or an artist or a singer at all in any way. He was just a comedian. He made stupid videos, and then he gained such a big following.
As far as you know,
right? But then he went serious and became Joji. Like
I'm sure he had music and cared about music while he was doing those videos. It's just that he was doing those videos first because he didn't think maybe he didn't think that he had the right means to put out that kind of music. I don't think he's like, oh, now that Filthy Frank's taken off, I should switch to music while I have this following. I think that he just used his following to his... He didn't even necessarily use it because he doesn't... Nothing of Filthy Frank transfers over. Absolutely nothing. So you can't even say he's taking advantage of it, but maybe just that because he got big, he got familiar with what... The idea of becoming viral,
that's what I'm saying,
becoming relevant in the internet, because he has that down pat, he can use that to his advantage in creating music. But I don't think it's different when you have YouTubers dropping music just because, like Jake Paul rapping.
Oh my god, that actually happened?
Yeah, every day, bro. This year, I don't feel like anyone's brought that up.
Jake, I didn't even know that was a thing. I know he was doing podcasts.
Yeah, no, that's his brother, I think. Yeah, come on the show. But that's an example of someone just making music for popularity or to be funny while he's already at a specific peak.
Hey Steven, what do you think? Because I know you're really into like Joji and everything.
No,
I feel like out of all.
What about Abel? Abel was more into Joji.
Joji.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I thought you got
Joji was like always.
Listen to him.
He was always making music, but he never really emphasized on that because what was popping was his meme videos, and so he decided to focus on the memes. But then what as he got popular, he gained more opportunities for music, and a lot of his fan base was also like, "Oh, this music's pretty good."
Okay, my question is: would Joji have ever made it big if he was never Filthy Frank?
Probably not. So. Yeah,
okay.
Probably not.
Would Lil Nas have ever made it big if it wasn't for that song?
Oh, definitely not.
Okay, man.
That's
different. Those are two different situations.
Lil Nas X wasn't a YouTuber before that.
He was trying to. This goes back to the meme thing. Is that like Lil Nas dropped the meme? He made a joke, is what I think, and it was so funny. It blew up, went viral, and gave him enough edge. Just like Filthy Frank's memes and funny videos brought him an audience. He used that audience to boost his music, just like in the same way that Lil Nas used his audience from that song to boost.
It's not necessarily like that because
they got boosted through just
but because he was never promoting his music. He his low key music. He was never promoting it, and it was usually just meme music that he would make.
That's why. But he used that to promote his serious music.
No, that gave him a platform to start making serious music. That's yeah. That gave him a platform.
When you go on Spotify, things that get recommended to you are the ones that have like the most numbers, like this Billboard stuff that we were talking about earlier, the ones that are statistically more popular. And when Joji has this, Filthy Frank has that many amount of followers and subscribers on YouTube, obviously that's going to help him boost things. Like you go on Spotify, he's going to be something that pops up, right? And so he used that to blow up, I'm saying, in the same way that, you know what I'm saying? Like
no, because that's not what happened.
They used comedy to boost their...
No, he didn't. Dude, his music has nothing to do with comedy.
But I know.
And he doesn't want to be acknowledged. That's his audience, but that's different. You're saying he's using it. He never acknowledges Filthy Frank. He tries not to. He's like, I'm not Pink Guy. I'm Joji. Where Lil Nas X was like, I dropped this song. Yeah, it's funny, but guess what? It's also good, and that can coexist without one tainting the other.
I don't think it's good. I just think it's funny.
But
that's just your opinion, though. Yeah,
this thing is the top charting song like in history, not this year, this decade, Billboard history. That you can't believe that people are listening to that song just because it's funny. It's because they like it. And what do you mean? You don't know? That's what I'm saying. That's like we were talking about. Those are objective facts.
I consider that a one-hit wonder. Like fucking.
It probably Panini's charting. His EP, people listen to that. He's fucking. He was on the MTV Awards. That's like, maybe he doesn't make music that ever peaks. Like, well, no one's gonna make a song that's gonna peak like that ever again. So that's unfair to expect him to make a song just as good as Old Town Road or just as big. But to say that he doesn't have musical talent, that.
I didn't say he had. I never said that.
No, I know, but we're just saying one hit wonder. That kind of implies that it's like this is it. That's what one hit wonders are.
All right, not on that level. I just think that it's different when you use one hit wonder because in that case, it's you have one song and you die off. Like you might have like one or two lesser known ones, but that's not what I mean. Like I'm saying, he blew up off of something that was not meant to be like something so great. Like this fucking song was beautifully composed. It has great lyrics. It has like these things that are meant to be fucking objectively good things in music. I just think it was a joke and he blew up and caught on. Like they just media planted him and made him good now. Like they gave him good music after that. He's not a one hit wonder, just one hit and then they gave him a platform to be who he is.
I think at that point we're just gonna have to agree or disagree at that point. Cause I think he's come out and said he's like, no, I'm a legit music artist. This is me trying to make music. He said so himself. Maybe you could choose to not believe him, and it doesn't sound like you would believe him, but that's what he says. And I don't have any reason not to personally.
I'm gonna have to take a closer listen at the rest of like his music because as of right now, I haven't dived in deep enough to
I don't
say
think
anymore. I just know that one song from him, so I'm just gonna.
But and I feel like that I wouldn't say a tangent, but that's just one example of how strong memes play a role in music. You know,
just the internet blows shit up.
Yeah, but you have to. I think that's just the smart way to do it nowadays. Like, there's artists like I don't know if you guys know who Oliver Tree is.
Nope.
But he was like he's the dude with he has a bowl cut. He has like a '90s windbreaker and funky glasses. Like he looks like a joke.
I think I know who you're talking about.
And he used to make funny videos, but his music is serious. And that's someone who's using the attention and the fans that he's got through memes to boost on his music. And you could say that's disingenuous, or you could say, man, that's just a smart move, and that's just the way you have to do it nowadays. You know? And I think that answers the question of what you were talking about earlier, like, what does the internet...
I hate to bring up this person. Finish what you're going to say. I just have a thought.
I was just saying, that kind of answers maybe memes is the best answer to how the internet affects music. I mean, it's aside from obviously streaming, but the idea is that, like, to get big, you use... being viral, you use being funny, being relatable, you use other assets of internet fame to boost your music, and that doesn't sound fair. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he has any good music. I just think he's fucking funny.
I don't think he cares about making good music.
I don't think he does either. I think he makes it to be a joke, and that's the whole thing about subjective and objective fucking music is like you can make trash, but if it's so trash it's a joke. If it's Ice JJ Fish trash, it's gonna blow up, and it's just gonna be funny. Like it's laughable. Like The Room.
I think one of the first
movie, The Room, you know, like Disaster Artist. That fucking movie was so trash it blew up and became.
Oh yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? It's like that. Like,
it's like wait, what? Like
the Room. The movie's The Room.
Yeah,
The Room. Oh yeah.
What's his name? Wazao. Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah. Tom Wiseau.
Like dude, or
something like that. But like I'm glad you brought up 6ix9ine, and I think. One of the first artists that were like that was that's So Bad It's Good almost is Lil B.
So Bad is laughably good. It's
you know Lil B?
Dude, there's a cult for
Never heard of him.
There's a straight up cult for him. That song
Lil B?
Kevin
Never
Durant,
mind. Do know who that is.
That song bangs. But it's so ridiculous that if you were to compare that to somebody like Drake's music. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like they would hit the same numbers, but like people who really genuinely listen to it.
But the Bass God has that following on the internet that is just nobody can invalidate him because of that. These people figured out how to play the internet game, and they've crafted their careers masterly based off of that. And I think that's kind of the future of music, and that's
the algorithm.
And that's what people like us have to do if you want to get big. You just figure out how the internet works, what people like, and you use that to your advantage. I don't know whether or not to say that's good. I don't know my opinion on it. It's just like, it's the way it is, and it's fucking effective.
World War III is coming, y'all.
Stop it.
What?
Okay.
I guess we should stop it right there. I don't know how much time that's passed.
That's about wraps it all.
Yeah. You want to send us off?
This has been the Amateur Hour Podcast, episode 1 official.
I hope it's seeable.
Brought to you by Sunken. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever. If you're in the area and you know who we are, you want to get on the pod, shoot us an email. Talk to us in person.
If you make music,
on the link.
If you like music,
I mean, link in the bio.
If you like music, if you like art,
fuck that up.
Get at us. Get involved. We're a community. We want to help each other out. This is not a thing that we're doing just to get famous. This is doing this to have fun and be active creatively. And if you like doing the same things, and again, you know who we are, get at us. We'll all help each other.
We have these seats right here.
We have seats right here. We can always take turns. It's no big deal. There's plenty of love and creativity to go around. So thank y'all.
Peace. Thanks. What?